Tonight on Squadarama, we look into a fast-growing social media platform, Twitter, and investigate how people learn using it. We speak to students from a range of educational environments to hear their views and see if they're synonymous to their teachers. We will take into consideration journal articles from leading academics
and assess whether Twitter is a useful learning tool or just a fad.
My name is Joseph Swasu.
My name is Joseph Thompson.
And I'm Henry Ben.
And this is Squadarama. Twitter is a social online networking platform which enables users to send and read 140 character messages called tweets. Twitter was first created in March 2006 by Jack Dorsey, Evan Williams, Bidstone and Noah Goss, and was launched in July. The service rapidly gained worldwide popularity, in which more than 100 million users posted 340 million tweets a day. Now, regarding to May 2015, there are more than 500 million users, which 340 of them are active users. Although the median age of Twitter is 31, according to Anderson in 2009, Twitter users range from children who are from 5 to 18, and academic professionals, employers, which gives a good medium for everyone to connect. This documentary will first investigate Twitter use in the primary and secondary schools. We'll then move on to university, where we get views of students on Twitter, and then we'll move on to the academic professionals as well to see if they use Twitter as a social or learning platform.
With Twitter set for its 10th anniversary, we now live in a society where nearly all primary school children were born into an age where Twitter exists. With this in mind, does Twitter have a place in education? And if so, is it as a learning tool alongside the curriculum? Or perhaps should it be introduced to help teach children about online safety, in a world where the majority of teenagers and adults all use social media? In this piece, I will look at a project run by a Year 2 teacher, Martin Waller, where he set up a Twitter account for his pupils to use in lessons. Then we will look at how students view their own experiences of Twitter in school. In 2009, primary school teacher Martin Waller started a classroom Twitter account under the username @classroomtweets, which was then continued as @Wi5Moonstone. It began as a way to help a group of Year 2 children who found writing challenging and therefore were disengaged from the process. It helped by giving children a way to share and reflect on their learning. The tweets were all written by children and were sent out unedited, meaning the tweets were a more realistic reflection of the children's character and ability. Obviously, the open nature of social media meant there had to be rules set out. For example, no names were used, children were not allowed to check for replies, and children were only allowed to look at the classroom Twitter feed and not look at other profiles. This project enabled children to develop online literacy skills and engage with the writing process, while also creating understanding of the importance of online safety. After looking at how it can be used in school, I then went out and spoke to a secondary school student about his views on Twitter. He joined Twitter around a year ago, having already had a Facebook account. He said that while his parents did not have access to his account as they did with Facebook, where they had his password and were able to check his account to keep him safe, they did follow him, showing that even though the account was his, Twitter wasn't the place for privacy. When I asked him what he uses Twitter for, he told me mainly to tweet about things like sport and follow his favourite celebrities. I then asked about how his school views Twitter and social media, and he told me that his school actively discouraged the use of Twitter in school, but that he doesn't mind because Twitter is for when you're at home anyway. I then went and had a chat with a group of current university students about what they remember of their first experiences of Twitter. The majority of people I spoke to started using Twitter around year 9 or 10, and used it quite a lot at first to tweet each other. Many people also said that after a while Twitter became boring and Facebook took over again. Through secondary school and towards sixth form and college age, people apparently used it less and less, although there were some that said once they started taking part in perhaps more grown-up activities, such as nights out, they used it more. The feeling I got from this group discussion is that Twitter is viewed by these young people as a more grown-up social media platform, and apart from the initial hype, it was never really for them. Another thing I found interesting while talking to these students is that when I asked about the possibility of Twitter use in schools, almost all of them said that they think it would be a good idea, but while they were at school, Twitter was very much seen as more social than educational.
We will now be moving on from primary and secondary school to look at how Twitter is used at university level. In 2009, Kevin Anderson wrote an article for The Guardian where he discussed that while 99% of 18 to 25-year-olds use social media, only 22% of those individuals use Twitter. Also, in 2010, for the Computers and Education journal, Maya wrote an article where he did research on whether microblogging was a viable tool for higher education. He concluded that while students were prescribed to use the microblogging platform, they only used it for that purpose and nothing more. It is now 2015 and we want to investigate whether Twitter's use and who is using it has changed. In the following footage, you will see how students and leading academics use Twitter at the university level. We've asked these two different groups of people in order to get contrasting views so we can compare how Twitter is used at university level.
Today, I embarked on a trip to the university's new study space, the Diamond, to question students on Twitter and their user habits. I asked them if they use Twitter and what they primarily use it for. So, do you use Twitter?
No, I don't use it. I don't find it useful.
Do you use Twitter?
Yeah, I use it for friends and family. Not really lecturers actually, just social means.
I happened to see a student using Twitter on her phone in the Diamond and managed to catch her for an interview.
Nicole, do you use Twitter?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. What do you tweet about?
I kind of don't tweet that much anymore. I just read people's tweets.
Okay. Well, what hashtags do you kind of like embark upon? What hashtags do you look at?
But if there's a big event, I will go on the hashtag and read the tweets about it.
So do you kind of like use it as a learning tool? So you know how some lecturers use Twitter as a learning tool and use like hashtags, like digicult. Do you kind of like follow up on that hashtag?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's called.
I
don't use it for lectures. I don't follow any lectures on Twitter.
Okay. Do you enjoy using Twitter when you do use it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just a bit like you use it to use it. You don't really care.
Would you recommend people to use Twitter?
Yeah. Why not?
Especially for learning means?
Yeah, you can. Well, it depends because I don't know any lecturers that use it, but you can use it for like world learning, the news. I follow the news.
Thank you very much.
Lecturers from around the UK actively encourage the use of Twitter amongst undergraduate students. In some introductory lectures, some lecturers point to the importance of using Twitter as a useful learning tool. Dr. Ed De Quincey from Greenwich University highlighted the usefulness of Twitter as a way of keeping up to date with current developments and people in your field. He also suggested hashtags to follow and contribute to, such as #comp1314.
Dr. Ed De Quincey created his Twitter account in 2011 and has only tweeted education-related matters. At the time of filming, 4 years later, he has since created a second account, which has acquired 780 followers with over 8,000 tweets. This prompts the thought, education may have its place on Twitter.
We asked a leading academic in the field of education some questions about Twitter and how they use it. Here are some of the responses.
Hello.
Do you
Hello.
use Twitter?
Yes, I do use Twitter. I've been using it for a few years.
Very good. Who do you follow?
I couldn't name any celebrities for you, I'm afraid, but it's mainly academics. I don't follow anybody in a social way. It's always used for work.
Okay. Do you tweet regularly?
No, not really. I try to tweet stuff to do with this course when I'm teaching on this module, but I haven't remembered to do that for the last couple of weeks. And I always tweet when I go to a conference.
Here are some other responses from other leading academics in the field of education. As you can see from the responses, the academic in question uses Twitter almost exclusively for education and their field of work. In their opinion, Twitter can be used as a learning tool because they have used it in the past when teaching their students, and they use it for their own learning. This comes as a stark contrast to the students. The students did use Twitter for education, but it was not its primary use for them.
After conducting this investigation as to how Twitter can be used for education, we've analysed and concluded that actually there is no simple answer for the question, is Twitter a useful learning tool or just a fad?
We discovered that different factors can affect how you use Twitter. As we showed in this piece, your age and occupation are some of those factors. We saw in classroom tweets that primary school children were allowed to use Twitter, but in a very limited way. We also discovered that as individuals grow older, they go free of the restraints placed on their Twitter use, and therefore consequently this affects what they use Twitter for.
As our interview showed, students weren't very enthusiastic about Twitter as a learning tool. Some used it but not specifically for education, and some didn't use it at all. In contrast, academics are very positive about Twitter for education and can see its potential.
We think that the potential for Twitter to be used as a learning tool is there, but the right people need to be using it.
When asked about Twitter as a learning tool, one of our students responded with, "I don't know any lecturers who use Twitter. This needs to change for Twitter to be a successful learning tool."
I've been Henry Ben.
I've been Joseph Thompson.
And I've been Joseph Swasu.
And this was Squadarama.